Does speaking in public make you nervous? Does this nervousness cost you opportunities that you want to put yourself out there, but these nerves hold you back, so you let them go? Well, if you answered yes to either of these questions, this video is specifically for you, because in this video, what I'm going to share with you is exactly get to the root of specifically what creates this fear. Because when you know exactly what's holding you back, well then that's the first level of fighting back, of making a change, because awareness is everything. And when you're able to demystify this fear of public speaking, which, by the way, is the most common fear people have, and recently I did a survey of over 92 communicate with confidence applicants, and in it we found that this was the #1 reason that people had. Over 64% of these 92 who applied for our program in the last couple months, this was the most identified problem that they had, because they said, you know what, I am nervous about public speaking and it's costing me opportunities, and this is leading to me to be frustrated. So, just brainstorming these ideas quickly, we got a few here that stand out. Networking is a big one. You hold yourself back. Team meetings. This one comes up a lot, where you have an idea and you want to share it, but you're not sure if this is the right time. You don't have the confidence to put your idea out there. And oftentimes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes into the meeting, somebody says something that's the exact same thought that you had, and then everyone else goes, oh my God, that's such a great idea, and then you feel self-conscious and you beat yourself up saying, why didn't I say it earlier? So opportunities are networking, meetings, sales presentations, leading out to more customers, leading to more business, keynote presentations, sales calls. These are all aspects of fear of public speaking and how it holds people back. And that's what we're going to demystify today. So once you get clarity on that, you can start moving forward. So these opportunities, this is the one. Again, the first level is just removing any shame or stigma that comes around it. This comes up a lot. I just had a call with a potential client, and he was saying that, I've been speaking for years and I don't know what happened. It just fell off the horse. I'm getting nervous. It's not consistent. I'm good sometimes, I'm bad. He called it Jekyll and Hyde syndrome. He's like, I'm Jekyll and Hyde, and I don't know which one is going to show up, and that's causing me to doubt myself and create some dread. So totally understandable. And if this is you, understand that many business professionals, even most business professionals, will struggle with speaking confidence at some point in their lives, in their careers. And this is a great place to start to build that foundation, to get a system of how you can fight back. So that's the biggest scary aspect of this, is not knowing why. We love to be in control, right? You love to be in control. And when this fear of public speaking comes in, boom, you're getting hit with anxiety, you're getting hit with nervousness, it's building up, you're probably losing sleep the night before or even the week before. And you're just not sure, what do I do? Like, it just takes over your body. You feel that your heart's racing, your muscles tense up, you start sweating profusely, you start having these negative thoughts, thinking, oh my God, it's gonna go horrible. And it just builds and builds and builds. And when you don't know specifically what to do, it can take over you. So again, today we're gonna demystify that, get to the root. And once we do that, it becomes a lot clearer, right? We take out a lot of that fear aspect, and then you're able to say, okay, I know what's holding me back. Now let me take action on this. Let me get past this and start speaking with confidence, because you know that the ability to do so, A, it's a great leadership trait. B, as soon as you do that, you then position yourself as an expert. People see you. When you speak in public, it's just built in the credibility. And C, it's a heck of a lot of fun. Having that freedom. And that's what my clients, that's the #1 aspect that they get at the end of it. It's the freedom. The freedom to seize the opportunities that they want and choose. Do I want to speak in public here? Knowing that they have the ability and they have the system to do so at any point that they want. So that's what is happening there. That's what we want. So when we're looking at, let's get back to the root of this, okay? And Evan Pagan, who's a great marketer, he had a statement that I loved. It was speaking about the fear of public speaking. And in it, he said that when you look at it, we've evolved, right, from our hunter-gatherer days when we were in tribes. And when we were in tribes, what we said and fitting into that group was essential for our survival. We had to make sure that what we said, it was aligned with the thoughts and the feelings of the group. Because if you weren't in alignment with them and you said something that might be wrong, well then you might get kicked out. And if you were kicked out of that tribe, back then that was death. That's the only outcome that was going to happen. And you didn't want to die. So we've been conditioned to fit in, to not step out of the comfort zone, to blend in. Now that was helpful back then, but today it's completely different, because in this competitive market we live in, the business world, it's all about differentiation, of you being your authentic self, being true to yourself and saying, look, this is the real me. That's how I want to put myself out there, because it attracts your ideal clients. If you sit back and just try to blend in with everyone else, there's way too many people doing that, and they struggle, because then you're just a commodity. You're not special, you're not unique. You just blend in and you're one of 300 options that people could go to. And you don't want to be that, you are unique. And that's what we're focusing on, is how can you own that and put it out there in a way that's saying, hey, I'm unique. If you want to work with me and you resonate and we connect, great, because this is going to attract your ideal clients. So again, this conditioning that's been going on for centuries, we can undo it. That's the thing. It's about recognizing it, which is step one. Step two is making a decision. And the fact you're watching this video, you clearly want to improve. This is frustrating you and you're saying, hey, you know what? I want to speak with confidence. So that's what we're focusing on. It's one, recognizing it, two, making that decision, move forward, and three, getting that clarity to say, okay, I know what's happening here, now I can move forward and take action. So we have this, this big scary prospect of speaking in public. It gets very overblown because it's so common, but yet we look at it, there's people that do it and they do it well. They have fun speaking in public. They don't dread it, they actually enjoy it because of all the benefits that come from it. So how do you make that transition? Well, it's simple, okay? It's like driving. When you started driving, you didn't just get behind the wheel and you were a pro at it. You had to get behind the wheel, you had to do some training, you had to learn, you had to practice, and then over time it just got easier. It got easier and easier and easier, and now you can do it, drive, you got the radio going, conversations, maybe the phone, which you're not texting because that's illegal around here, but you have Bluetooth going on, you're having a conversation, you can multitask, and it's a lot easier. So the fact is, you know the blueprint of how to do it, you've done it before in other areas of your life. Now it's just, how do I apply it to speaking so that you can increase your confidence? Well, it's very simple. So one, we have the challenge of our conditioning, but we can recondition that, no problem, when you have an effective system. Two, we gotta get back to this, and this is the key, okay? This is what creates the frustration, where people, they blank out, they have a hard time thinking, they get dizzy, it just gets overwhelming, everyone's staring at you, you're feeling judged. This is the key that separates it, and this is what we gotta focus on. It's an aspect called cognitive load, okay? Cognitive load. Now, what cognitive load is, it's the amount of stressors that are going on at once. So, when you're speaking in public, you have your content, right? So you're up there, you're thinking, what do I have to remember? How am I delivering it? So one is the content piece, you gotta remember that. Two, it's how are you interacting? Am I engaging? How do I make eye contact, right? That's another stressor. It's another thing to think about, building up cognitive load. Three, it's the stressors, okay? So all the stressors, that could be what was happening leading up to it, what's happening the day of, because there's always something that comes up right before you gotta speak that, boom, adds more stress. Then you have to do your delivery. Pitch, my voice, am I using it? I don't want to be monotone and just, bore people to death. You don't want to be a sleep therapist by speaking and just putting people to sleep when you're public speaking. You want to connect with them, make it a good impression, and engage with them. So you have these stressors, plus it could be often a night before, you're anxious, you're stressed out, and that leads to poor quality sleep, which therefore, boom, adds more stress. So this is what happens. All these stressors, in addition to the fact that you are speaking in public, you are the center of attention. You are there speaking and you have a bunch of eyes staring at you, and this is what happens. It creates this pressure cooker scenario where if you don't have the right tools, the pressure builds, your cognitive load increases to an unsustainable level, and what happens? Boom, people blank out, they have dread, massive dread, they're not able to connect authentically, because what happens when the cognitive load gets too high, your cognitive abilities decrease. And that's where your mind's not sharp. And you may have noticed this, you quote unquote dumb yourself down. You're not using words that are as articulate. You're not speaking as clearly and as effectively as you would one-on-one or in a small group, you're like, what happened to me? Well, this is what happened. Cognitive load. You don't have the tools to reduce the stress, and it just becomes overwhelming. So this is the enemy, cognitive load. Now when we're looking at this, the other aspect is what happens, you're there, cognitive load's building, where all the stresses are building, and what happens is the sympathetic nervous system, right? We have two sides to the nervous system. We have the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. This is the gas pedal, this is your survival mechanism, and this is your brake. The parasympathetic, it's your brake, it's about resting and digesting and relaxing. Now, of these two, which one takes dominance? Of course, this one, survival, the sympathetic nervous system. So think about this. This is the automatic. It's going to go, it's going to activate quickly because it's more about survival than about resting and digesting. So you have to train yourself to say, how can I put the gas pedal back and put the brake pedal down to relax, to again, reduce the stressors, because when we do that, you're able to think more clearly, more articulately, and that leads to an amount of cognitive load. You have more capacity, and then therefore you're able to speak more confidently and more articulately. So we have this. How do we got to turn it off. We got to turn off the gas pedal, put on the brake, relax, de-stress. And again, this cognitive load, it's a situation, it's like having a computer. You know, sometimes you just run too many programs at once. You're trying to multitask, and you got all these programs running, and then your computer just slows to a crawl. You're saying, well, what happened? Why is it so slow? And if you got a Mac, like I do, you got that ball of death spinning, and you're like, oh, what's going on? Same situation, except this is your mind. So when this is happening, it's all these factors building up, it's jumbling up your system, you're overloading it, and you're slowing it down. So we gotta switch that off, relax, get that brake going, slow it down so we can move forward. So another thing too that comes up a lot, big frustration, is the anticipation. So that anxiety that's coming up the night before, the morning of, it's just building, you're having sleepless nights. What this is called anticipatory anxiety. So anticipatory anxiety, what occurs is you are thinking about an event in the future. So let's say, for example, it's the night before a presentation and your mind is racing. You're thinking, oh God, I got this presentation tomorrow. Stress levels building up, right? Cognitive load, it's increasing. So what happens? You're anticipating, and this is typically what happens because we have a negativity bias. So this negativity bias is leading to worst case scenarios. So you're imagining what's a worst case scenario. And a common example, you're trying to get some rest. You're doing your best. You're in bed. You say, I'm going to go to bed early time so I can be refreshed. But these thoughts are coming up. Negative thoughts, they're building. And then you're in bed, you're thinking, it's called ruminating. And so you're ruminating, the thoughts are running, they're running, and then we start to catastrophize. And when we catastrophize, what happens? We take this one bad outcome, this possibility, and then boom, we think, but if that happened, then this is going to happen. And then if that happens, then this is going to happen. And then it just keeps building, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And these scenarios with a very active imagination turn into these huge dreaded situations. And when that occurs, you can even find yourself in massive anxiety, huge levels of stress, and it can even trigger panic attacks in some people. It just gets that big. So again, that's what happens the night before, and then you just wake up and you're exhausted. And when you're exhausted, your feelings are just drained. So all the times people, boom, they hit caffeine because they're thinking, I gotta get some caffeine in me to get perky, to deliver this. And what happens? Caffeine often triggers more stress, more anxiety, and therefore you get jittery, and then your heart starts racing, and then you start thinking, oh my God, my heart's racing really fast, and this compounds again, and then boom, that's what happens. More stressors, cognitive load increasing, cognitive capacity decreasing, and that leads to more stress. So we're looking at this. This is the situation of what happens. So we got not having the right tools, we got that anticipatory anxiety holding you before, we have it's just building up, we have conditioning, we got to undo, all these factors, they just compound together. Now, unfortunately, there is a way to combat this, and this is what I do, and I don't want to make this video a 30-minute video. Right now, what I want to do is just outline specifically what's going on. So, first level, you're not damaged goods. There's nothing wrong with you, okay? This is a normal physiological reaction. Right? Most business professionals struggle with speaking confidence. So just first of all, any shame or embarrassment you might have, we can just eliminate that right away because there's nothing wrong. This is just a skill like any other skill. We have to go through training, learn some processes, we have to implement it, reinforce it, and that becomes a new habit. So it's absolutely possible for you to do this, to speak with confidence. It's a matter of simply getting some training, finding someone who you trust, who gets you, and that you get. When you have that connection, that's what makes the difference. And then we've got to look at reducing the stressors, so having a system, because the key here is consistency. And the gentleman I just had a call with, that was his big thing. He's like, I don't have the consistency. Sometimes I'm on, sometimes I'm not, and that builds so much stress in me. I get it, and that's what we do here with Communicate with Confidence. We create a system for you. You have a step-by-step. This is our proven model. We've been doing it time and time again, because my background is in stress management, and that's what positions me really well in this industry. Because it's one thing to go and you can get all the information of how to put together a talk, where to look, all these points on the delivery side, which is good, but that's the second phase. We focus on the first phase, which is the stress management. Because when you reduce the stress levels, that's when you're able to take that step, to actually implement it and put it out. Because the downside is a lot of people, they'll get all this information and then they go to present and they're all excited, and then boom, stressors compound, they overwhelm them, and then the first thing that happens is all that info, boom, goes right out, it's gone. And because you haven't controlled the stress levels, because again, the cognitive load just gets overwhelmed, and the first thing that happens is you get into survival mode. And trust me, when you're trying to survive, you're not thinking about, where do I have to look and how do I deliver this and pitch and modulate my voice. You're thinking, let me just get through this, I gotta survive. And that's when you don't really do a good job because you're so overwhelmed, and then you beat yourself up after saying, oh my God, why did I do that? So if you want to know the Communicate with Confidence system, that's what we specialize in. If you're interested, just click on the link below. You can go through, you can see the program, do the application, right? I have an application form. If this sounds like a good fit, or this could work for you, you want to understand how you could have a system so that you'd be able to consistently speak with confidence and avoid that anxiety the night before, and be able to speak with confidence and prepare yourself for all your future talks so that you have a simple system that you can roll out, and just to bring that fun back. Because let me tell you, speaking with confidence, it's a great time. The thrill, the rush from the crowd of getting that standing ovation, of knowing that you did a great job and that you were doing something that so many people are deathly afraid of. That is a feeling of getting that freedom back. It is amazing, and that's what I'd like for you. So again, if you want to know more about the Communicate with Confidence system, get that blueprint to consistently deliver confident talks and speak in any situation, click the link below, fill in the application form, I'll go through it, and if it looks like we're fit, we will set a call and go from there.